Deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And we are being broadcast live, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio. Tune in and TalkStream Live. Now, if you are listening in on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and mash it. And thank you for coming here. No matter how you are listening to me, of course, please do say hello. Whether it's YouTube or in TFR chat, or if you're on catching the podcast later, absolutely. Come check it out. We're going to be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Pretty much anywhere that your podcast might be found. So yeah, make sure you say hi. Also, if you have anything you want me to talk about specifically on the show, or if you have an idea or comment, and just send it to me via email. That's wildpaisley at WILDEPAISLEY at gmail.com. And if you want to just support the show generally, there's there's a link in the notes later, but it's www.etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio, MTN for Mountain Studio. Anyways, thank you for joining us here. And glad to have you. I see Renee and Lisa and many musings are all over on the YouTube side. Hello, my lovelies. Waving at you. And in TFR, it looks like OG and Bill 13. So, hey guys, I hope you are all having a very lovely evening. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have been dealing with some storms. We had a awesome thunderstorm blow up. And it was just a good old time having that storm come in, and it had some big wind to it, some thunder, some lightning. I'm hoping that there's enough rain tonight that the lightning, if it did strike, doesn't start any new fires, because I don't like having that much smoke in the air. Serious. Just saying, it's not good for us. And then we just definitely do need some rain. It's been kind of dry. And so hopefully we'll have more. On that note, if you are in the Sandpoint area, there is a kind of a ritual, community ritual happening here tomorrow. It's going to be live in Spokane. The details are going to be on the Spaces Between Facebook channel, and then and my personal Facebook page, of course. And basically, it's just trying to do a ritual to bring in the rain, which it's working already, just that intent, putting it out there, because intent is huge, everybody, huge. Make sure you do set your intent before you do any of your workings, of course. And so the intent is to bring some more moisture into the air, and that will be, I'll put all the details up, because I'm just not finding it real quick here. And of course, I didn't save it because my day, I don't know if you guys know this, is really pretty insane. It's go, do. And I love to read a book. It just doesn't happen as often as I want to. There is some time I try to put aside every day for study, personal study, because it's good, it's huge, it's important. How are you going to learn new stuff if you don't do your studying? How are you going to solidify the ideas that you already have in your mind if you don't do your studying? So study is good. Anyway, so the ritual tomorrow, basically, we're just everybody can either be physically in Spokane, I'll give you the details, or you can tune in and just chant the words that are pre-written for the ritual and follow along. All of that is on the Facebook page. So basically, we want to bring some moisture here and some good weather other places, and yeah, it should be good. It'll be fun. It'll be powerful because weather witching is kind of a powerful thing, which kind of inspired me for tonight's show because I, of course, at 8 o'clock didn't have much of an idea what we were going to talk about tonight. Because just got busy with Minnie Paisley and cleaning because that's a never-ending battle with a 5-year-old. Never ending. And I had to get it done. So, and she is every bit as stubborn as I am, and I know this. And to be patient and work through it, we, little baby steps, do this, do that. And it never fails. It's, I'm going to take away your story time if you don't do what you need to do. So it's just a thing. Gotta love the kids. Gotta be a good parent, though. Responsibility is good for them. And discipline and boundaries because our children need it. So the next thing I just really quick I wanted to touch on just because I know it's important, especially for those who are still in the pagan pantry, the broom closet. A lot of us feel the need to have an altar of some sort, and it is very, very important, I think, to have some sort of focal point, either at work, on your desk, if you have a desk, or at home, or someplace where you spend a lot of time. Just kind of a focal point for any of your workings, your castings, your rituals, that kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. Really, truly, it really does not have to be a big thing. And a friend of mine mentioned earlier tonight that often or not just often, but as an integral part of her altar system that she has just an altar stone. And it's something that she has blessed and done rituals with and asked the deities and the guides to embody it with energy as an altar. And so it's always a part of her physical altar all the time. But on the instances where she's moving or traveling and she wants to take an element of her altar with her, she has charged this stone. It's her altar stone. And it retains a lot of that same energy that an altar would have. So even though, say you go to visit family 1,000 miles away and they're not really comfortable or they don't know that you're pagan, just take that rock with you, and they'll ask you, hey, why do you have that rock in your suitcase? Oh, it's just my lucky rock, no big deal. And really, it's your altar rock, and you don't have to necessarily explain what it is or what it's for. And for those of you that are in the pagan pantry or the broom closet, same kind of thing. If you collect rocks or driftwood or anything like that, include it as part of your decor in your home, even for you more masculine folks, of course. Imbue that rock and those driftwood or shells or whatever it is with the same energy. Anoint them, of course, when your anti-pagan people are around, and give them the same energies and the same focal point as you would your altar. And that way you have an altar space that doesn't necessarily look like an altar, and that's good. That'll help you focus. It'll give you a touchstone, if you will, in your home that will allow you to be just a part of the pagan world and the pagan community, and you'll still be able to just really appreciate, I think, that space a little bit more than you might have expected or anticipated if you didn't have that touch point. So yeah. Anyways, altar stone, similar energy as you would have with just having a standard altar. So, anyways, moving on. So moving on to Weather Magick, I want to push a button. Sorry, my son's getting ready to go off and do something, and trying to pay attention and do stuff all too many things. I, yes, am a woman, yes, and I am fully capable of multitasking a lot. But I got to tell you, I have my limits. There are some things I just can't do. And it's awesome. It's fun, and so moving on, just talking about weather magic. So I am not quite as prepared for this as I generally am, just because it was kind of last minute. And I was watching Paranormal Portal with Don and Brent, and they had internet issues due to the internet. And hi, Randall. And it's just, the weather is awesome. There's a lot of power, there's a lot of strength to it, and a lot of energy. But there's some cautions to it as well. And if you are empowering or imbuing your magical castings and your rituals with that weather energy, or trying to work with weather, just there's some things to think about. And just first off, weather is a major aspect of nature, as we, witches and pagans, are very much natural beings. We tend to attune our lives to the moon, the weather, and that kind of thing. So it's oh goodness gracious me, I pushed the wrong button, sorry guys. And as it's just a part of the natural world, and weather often embodies things like air and water and fire. In some places it can include earth, and it's just a whole bunch of bits and pieces of the pagan community. So on that note, it's wrong buttons. I'll try to figure that out later. It's not necessarily concerning power or authority over the elements, the natural elements. It's connecting to that flow of energy and the currents, and moving the air currents and everything, and helping them manifest your will. So if you do know some of the secrets of weather magic, you also have to be aware that you have a serious responsibility to protect that power, and to protect the land, because there are a lot of ethics involved. Because you have to be responsible with your magic, without a doubt, and you have to do what is right, of course, not just for you and your area. Like right now we needed water, but there's the downside of that, is that if we are using water now and getting rain now, how is that going to affect the weather on the other side of the country? Because all of that is 100% related. It is connected, and it is just not. It's not all separate pieces. The weather here in the U.S. is connected to the weather in Canada. It's connected to the weather in Europe, in Australia, the North Pole, South Pole. It's all connected. That's why there's the pollution that affects other countries affects us here in the U.S., and vice versa. Anything that's in the air currents is going to connect. The weather is all connected, and it's all cyclical. And that's why there's some periods of cooling and periods of warming. There's droughts, there's floods, there's ice ages, there's warming times. It's all very much connected. And if you're going to work with weather, you need to probably study a little bit of just meteorology, just a little bit, read some articles, understand it a little bit better, and how all of that is definitely connected, because it is. Now, if you are able to, or in the history of it, I guess I should say, the many ancient societies, just real quick, didn't understand our understanding of the weather today. And so they did attribute just different parts of weather to various gods and goddesses. So there are weather gods and deity and goddesses in every single pantheon. They're everywhere. And so if you want to work with a particular god or goddess, do your research before you do that. And then, you know, weather magic exists in pretty much all cultures and communities in some form or another, because we're all affected by weather. And when you're doing weather witchery, there's two different aspects generally kind of key. One of them is, of course, harnessing the weather, and the other one is releasing that energy. And in releasing it, you're doing some sort of spell casting or ritual. You're doing a working of some form to conjure, reroute, or dispel the energy in that weather. And so, weather magic often is very much attributed to water or sea magic. And so many spells are actually focused on controlling the winds or raising a storm. And if you're looking at other stories or other information, even if you look at the Odyssey, for instance, Odysseus has a bag of wind from Aeolus, the divine keeper of the winds, to help aid him on his journey. It was a tool that he was given. And then also sea witches were expected to control the weather so that seafarers could have a safe voyage. And even an individual controlling the power of the winds can clear stagnation in their individual life, and or blow that person in a new direction or carry them forward to success. So just remember, there's responsibility involved in that weather magic, because it is complicated. It involves tampering a little bit with nature, or interacting, very directly with nature. And nature itself is really kind of chaotic if you look at it very closely. So you need to understand those forces of nature before you really move forward. You can't just run out, oh, my garden, I forgot to water it, and just a quick rain spell, if you don't understand what you're doing and the workings that you're doing. And so, basic tools, what would you generally need when we're doing weather magic? Well, often people use cording, like ropes, strings, and they use knot magic as part of their weather magic. Some of it you can use. Generally, I would recommend using like a naturally occurring products for your rope, like cotton or hemp, something like that. You may need a knife or some other pointy implement like a wand or a staff to kind of point the precipitation or the weather into a specific direction to direct the wind. You may need to, if you have make sure you've got a clean space. Having a weather vane or windsock is pretty good, because you kind of want to know which way the wind is blowing, because that's important. Now, it is important to understand which way the wind is blowing before you do any kind of working. Like the north wind, which is generally represented by the element of earth, is often considered static or cold and dry, especially during winter. And the color associated with it, just so you know, is black. The south wind is represented by the element of fire. And it's generally considered a purifying hot, similar to the dry seasons of summer. And this is just one interpretation, just so you know. If your tradition is slightly different, it may have a slightly different interpretation. The east wind is represented by the element of air itself, generally the hot, wet season of spring or fall sometimes, and the color is yellow. So dawn is generally considered the time of the east wind. And then the west wind is represented by the element of water. It's generally calm and cool, especially think of the wet season, I guess, of autumn. Oops. And the color is blue. And so dusk is the time of the west wind. Now, weather omens, if you might want to look at omens, are stars might appear brighter than normal, so a storm might be on its way. You could say if a candle is flickering madly, a storm is brewing because the wind is blowing. Spells cast during storms can often be supercharged by the storm's energies, which is why we might want to use them. Birds flying overhead after a storm often means that it won't storm again that day, because they're ready to get out and they're not worried about sheltering from the weather. So, and now, One is thunder in the evening means it will rain for several more days. So depending on where you're at and your weather cycle for your region, sure. Um, and just old wives' tale, the wives and daughters of seafarers were once advised not to comb or braid their hair for fear that the knots in their hair would stir up wind to capsize their ship. So that knot magic has been very involved in weather magic for a long time. Um, so just a real, let's see, quick wind charm, if you will, offer would be like offering a silver coin in exchange for favorable winds for travel. And you just to cast the spell, you just throw the coin in the nearest body of water and make a wish for the fair winds, kind of like you know a wishing well, and asking for the thing that you really want, and so you're wishing in the well, you're casting that coin into the well. Now storm magic itself is often both very thrilling and powerful to harness, and it's not necessarily harnessing, it's you're trying to just tap into part of it, because there's a lot of strength to storm magic. So, and you're using that energy to manifest your will, so really need to focus. So make sure whatever you're doing, you're setting your intent before you do any sort of working, really truly. Now, storms can often be on different levels, so you can look at a storm as a form of a battery, because there is a lot of energy in it, and it charges the air all around you, from the air you're breathing to the ground you're standing upon. Because that, like I said earlier, a storm carries all of the elements that we as witches would hold dear: the earth, air, fire, water, and even spirit, because storms often empower people too. Now, excuse me just a moment. I'm thirsty. We got all this rain, which is great, but I'm still thirsty. So if as a battery, if you're looking at a storm as a battery, is something you can definitely connect to or connect with a storm. And you infuse yourself in your ritual with that storm to manifest whatever it is you're trying to create. So very much storm magic potent. And you would probably want to protect yourself from some sort of, the lightning, if that's going to happen, or the extremes. And you need to make sure that you yourself have a pretty even temper, you're not upset, and you want to make sure your will is really focused before you connect with the storm, because the storm itself can actually absorb the energies that you feed it. So if you're feeling pretty angry when you walk into a thunderstorm, that's not good. The storm will pick it up and it'll notice. Now before we move on, because the next step is not just setting your intention but walking through, just wanted to remind you all that the call lines are open. So if you do get the urge to give me a ring, that number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're in the UK and across the pond, that number is 44203-393-2871. And I see a few more people have landed in the chat. Hi, Nash and Aether. That would be Dawn. And hello. And Renee. Renee was here early. Thank you, Renee. You must have bailed on Brent and Dawn almost right away, because, well, actually they had problems, so I don't know. Maybe. Oh, and so yeah, hi all. And yeah, the last night was kind of crazy. Here I am doing my own thing and talking along, and Deb Varner, who is a very strong psychic and very involved in the paranormal portal. She's just a rock star anyway. She really has a major insight. And she noticed an orb that kind of floated across in front of me and around me, I guess. And then Renee saw it also. And it was really, really wild. Now, I was trying to watch the video earlier, and I had a Minnie Paisley along with me and trying to focus on much of anything when she is talking and demanding my attention is very hard. She will ignore me for hours until I need to do something. And then, of course, she's just focused on whatever I'm trying to do. So, yeah, I had a phone call with Lucky, and we had a good chat about just the air and things in general and how things are connected. And so it's shooting some good energy to some folks that she had some questions about. And it was just, she ignored me right up until the phone rang, and then suddenly, yeah, little mini Paisley, yep, right in my face. Because she's just pistol. That's what she is. And she and I did some other ritual workings. We have a friend of ours has a very sick little one, and it we burned a candle for him and did some stuff. And so if you are of the mind to put out positive energy towards anyone, Ender could really use some love his way. He's not feeling too good right now, so poor little guy. And he's another firecracker too. Keeps his mom on her toes. And so it looks like we are at the bottom of the hour, folks. So we will be back in just a few. And if you do want to give a call, remember 213-233-3998, or shoot me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. And we shall see you in just Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and thank you for joining me here on the show, The Spaces Between. We are being broadcast live, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. So hello, hello, hello. And hello, Electry. I hope you had a good evening. Good day. You'll have to give me a call and tell me how things went today. Kind of curious now. And so just double check in, call board. Don't be afraid to call. And that number again, I should have this memorized. I shouldn't have to use my notes, right? It's 213-233-3998. So, we were talking about weather witching, and just some of the power involved, and some of the energy involved, and just kind of what's going on, and there's a lot of energy and what you need to do beforehand. So of course, always set your intent. Just what is your intent? What do you want to do? And don't approach the storm or weather working with anger or frustration, because it will go awry. It will not help. It will not work the way you intended. And just kind of one of those things, law of intentions, whatever you intend to do, that's absolutely going to happen. And there's probably 30 to 40 other things that you didn't intend that it could possibly happen. So, Randall in YouTube just asked, what about rain dances? So yeah, rain dances in a way are very much a ritual. You're doing certain things, and it is definitely a way to focus the community energies, especially if you've got a big group going on, to channel that energy and ask the deities and the guides to bring that weather, that storm to you. So yes, rain dance is 100% a ritual, no matter what you think. So, or sky dancing, that whole thing. And now, just on that note, you don't have to be sky clad to do a rain dance. Just saying. Although if that's your gig, it's your gig. Do whatever's going to work best for you. So, if you're going to connect to a storm for the first time, I would really recommend meditating on it first, and making sure it's really what it is, what you're wanting to do, because it's, again, a lot of power. So meditate for a while, and if you're going to be inside, you want to make sure you've got the windows open so you can hear the rain, feel the wind, that kind of a thing. Meditate with your intentions and your thoughts and your mind just on the storm and the energies of the storm, and you just feel that energy moving through you. And do it for as long as you need to really connect with the storm and the flow of that energy. And once you are really connected to it, you'll feel it. The energy will just come through you. The goosebumps will happen, and you'll just feel empowered, for lack of a better really way to explain it. And just absorb that energy. And if this is your very first time, I'd really recommend just not going much further than that. Just feel that sensation and then let it ground out, back into the ground. So if you are inside, absolutely that's what you should do. But if you can be outside so you can, really be connected to the ground, I'd go there too. Now, if you are not into meditation, because not everybody is, and I get it, you can do other things. Yoga, sacred dance, rain dancing, absolutely. Randall, you're insane. Storm chasing is not for the faint of heart. Drum circles, that kind of thing. Those are all different types of meditative behaviors and practices that are not necessarily meditation. And so yes, rain dancing is very meditative because you're doing that rhythm and you're connecting to it. And when you feel connected, test it. Call for a rise in the wind or the rain or thunder or a flash of lightning. Wait for 10 minutes or so, and if nothing happens, you probably need to go back and meditate a little bit more, and because you've lost that connection or that touch. And once you're connected to the storm, you're going to be in sync with the storm. Now, don't get excited, don't get carried away, because you could lose your focus, and once you lose your focus, you can make the storm worse, or you might not regain that focus. Now, once you become familiar with that energy and how you're connecting to it, and you can do it repeatedly, quickly and stuff, you can absolutely skip the meditation. But meditation is just good for you anyways. And there's a lot of energy there anyways, so just connect to it. You will often, smell the rain. I know I do. It's great. I can tell when it's going to rain because you can feel it. You can smell it. Same with snow. I often can smell the snow as it's coming, or a new frost. And it's just a sense that I have personally. So now if you need an altar or that focus point, absolutely use the altar. Or if you have an altar rock that you have charged as representative of your altar for traveling, use that instead, because some aspects of your altar you probably don't necessarily want to get wet, which I get. Now, these are just tools to help you. So whether it's, make sure you've got your wand or your staff or athame, so you can direct the wind or direct those energies if you need to. Or if you use knotwork, make sure you've got your cords. Now, for thunderstorms, of course, there's a lot of energy, but there are other kinds of storms as well, and each of them are a little different. So, like regular rainstorms are very good for purification, love, friendships, beauty, youth, just releasing negative emotions or thoughts, because it's just really like you're allowing that rain to rinse over you and gently rinse off that negativity. Heavy storms or heavy windstorms are really good for mental spells, studying, breaking addictions or bad habits, or sending messages to others, both living and dead, because or good wishes, because it's not there's more energy, more power into that type of storm. Now, snowstorms are often for purification, healing matters of the heart, transformational magic, change, protection, renewal. Because with the winter, everything's going to sleep, it's going to change and be renewed in the spring. But yeah, purification. Anybody who's seen a snowstorm, you go to sleep and the world is brown and muddy looking because fall has happened and it's kind of dingy, and then it snows, a couple inches, and you walk out and everything's clear and pristine and beautiful. Same kind of thing. It's very cleansing and clearing. Now, a firestorm is something that doesn't happen often. It happens generally associated with big fires, forest fires, and that kind of thing. It's the sun and the energy and the heat has basically set fire to the land, and winds sweep across it, and it happens really, really often in California, for instance. And with this energy, there's protection, there's courage, there's power. Commanding or oath spells are common. There is a lot of danger, though, because to use that energy, you often need to be very close to the storm, and that is very, very potentially dangerous. And then storms during an eclipse, while not common, are also very, very powerful. Because you can use the energy from there is not just from the storm itself, but it's also from the eclipse, and combining those two powers it's kind of like a tornado or hurricane. It's not just a factor of one, like 1 + 1. It's a factor of 100. It's building. It's greater. So any magic or rituals you might be doing during that time could be help or focused on curing diseases, banishing unwanted energies or spirits, and exorcisms if that's something that you do or feel that's something you can go on. So yeah, it's a big deal, different types of storms. Now, generally speaking, you're going to want to keep whatever working or casting as simple as you can, because that energy, like I said, is very, very intense, very, very busy, and a lot of power there. So you want to really feel honest with yourself, and you have to be willing to open your soul and yourself to the energies of that particular storm. Now, again, I'm going to say this often with working with Weather Magick, only if you're feeling calm and fluid and in tune with the energy of the weather. Because if there's any type of blockage with your energy, is not going to work as smoothly. There may be something going wrong, and if just let the energy of the storm pass by. Don't try to harness something that you're not really connecting to. Anybody who's ever walked it out into the stream and you can't see the bottom, and you take a step and apparently you stepped into a fish hole and the bottom fell out and you just go bloop, go down. It's startling, and it's not good. It's scary. Don't do that. Yeah. If you have tools, you want to make sure that you're protecting your things like incense or candles or oils from potential water damage, because it's really hard to light a candle if it's raining. It just is. If now some storms do blow over really quickly, so be ready to work fast. That's why you need to set that intentional beforehand really much, because you may not have a lot of time to get whatever ritual you need done. You may want to keep like a cup of tea or chamomile or something like that, a peppermint tea, just because after the storm passes, you may feel some after effects and you need to stabilize yourself. Now, work indoors if you can, because lightning is not a joke. It is potentially really scary and dangerous. So try to protect yourself from lightning. And then remember that once you connect with the storm, you're really connected, and so that energy must flow fluidly. It must ebb and flow as it needs to. And you really do need to surrender to the power of the storm in order to truly connect to it without letting go of yourself completely. So if you are looking to offer incense, fern is a really good one to offer to the storm as it's coming. Now, if you're wishing for rain, you may want to do like heather, for instance. You will want to cleanse your tools before you put them out. So yes, if you're going to charge them in the storm, make sure they're cleansed. If you're I just lost something. So especially your stones and your crystals, make sure they're cleansed and ready to be charged before you leave them out in the storm. I should have done it today because doggone it. It was a good storm that we had come through. It was just powerful. It felt it coming on. Now, fulgurite is a glass actually that was made from when lightning strikes sand, and it melts that sand at such a high temperature that it creates glass. And so there's a lot of energy into it, and a lot of strength to it. So it can help manifest your desires. It can help empower your chakras or do shamanic work, some healing, psychic workings, that kind of thing. So anything, it's like a battery. It's been pre-charged by the lightning because there's just so much energy to it. Now, if you do use cord magic, get as you can approach the storm, whether it's inside or outside or whatever. You can sit by the window, really, you can. And knot the cord as you're working, and envision the energy of the storm being caught in each one, and try to make the knots equidistant as you're going through the cord, just for flow and continuity. And you're charging the energy of the storm. So that's if you're trying to harness it to have the rain go on. There's all sorts of different things that you can do. If you beat a drum, you may be calling the thunder, that kind of thing. Now, for having rain go away, which we didn't need tonight, but we have in other places, there's a song that we've all heard, that we've probably repeated at least once, especially when we were children. It's "Rain, Rain, Go Away, Little Johnny Wants to Play." That's a verbal charm to ask the rain to go away. That's all it is. There's a lot of information in some of our fairy tales and our stories and the things that we tell our children and everything, because often in those stories and those tales are charms or chants that which is used commonly. That stuff was injected, into just the literature of the day. And so another way is to, honor a weather deity. You can provide offerings to them to redirect the weather. So if you want the wind to change a different direction, ask the wind god to change the direction and move the blowing winds around and to change the weather to a different direction or different place. And just kind of more stuff. So that, I guess, in a nutshell, is kind of my thoughts, my process, my information that I have tonight for storm magic, weather magic. There is other things, if you're looking for sunshine, sunstones are good, calling it and focusing on it. And there's just, again, setting your intention is 100% the most important thing you can do before you do a casting or a ritual using this kind of energy, because it's huge. It's easy to lose control of. I mean, anybody who's ever stood at the beach and felt the water lap against your legs, here in the Pacific Northwest, they're little bitty waves. Unless we had a storm like today, then they're big whitecaps. But if you're at the ocean, you felt the energy of the ocean flow at you. Similar to a storm, you've got that energy coming at you. And if you're not prepared for it or ready for it, then, you're probably best to not work with magic or with weather magic until you've had a little bit more training or done a lot more meditation or prepared yourself in other ways, because weather magic is easy for it to go awry. Easy for it to go awry. So if you do have questions, or if you want to chime in or add your 2 cents, that number again, 213-233-3998. Or again, it's Wild Paisley, WILDEPAISLEY @gmail.com. And the store again, I'm just hitting all these high points real quick, is www.etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio, and mountain is MTN. Woot woot woot. And looking for more products to add there. So if you guys have an idea for different products you might like to see, is I don't know. There's ball caps on there now. I need to add some more designs. Looks like Free Energy is in TFR, and Free Energy said, I've had a storm call to me before, but I'm a beginning shaman and didn't know what to do with it. Well, in that sense, I would say I would let the storm energy wash over you and cleanse you, and I wouldn't really just necessarily try to channel that energy, but just experience it and live it, especially in the very beginning of your shamanic work and path. And then if you've got a guide or a mentor or a teacher that you're working with, get a little bit more direction from them to make sure you're doing your steps correctly. But again, meditating is good. And if you do feel that overwhelming energy from a storm, by all means, you need to just ground it out as much as possible, so you don't overload your own circuits and senses. And it's just... there's a lot of energy over there. Oh my gosh. So just real quick, for those of you that are on YouTube and checking out the picture behind me, that is painted by my friend Kathleen. She is just a phenomenal artist, and it's a butterfly, folks, and he's just kind of sitting on a bit of a flower, and he's just kind of beautiful. And she painted the picture of Epona that's sitting over my chair that I normally do my show in when I'm not sitting in the driver's seat. And I also have another horse painting, and I'll try to put some of her work up on Facebook. She's just beautiful. She's so talented. So her work is just awesome. I'll throw a link to her Facebook page, I think, on somewhere. Probably my YouTube page or Facebook page, excuse me, because I do have some prints for sale if anybody's interested. It's just glorious. And she's going through some stuff too. Holy cow, I know all these people that are just having some issues. And so love and light to her as well. And on that note, part of the reason why I was doing or talking about Weather Magick, of course, because it was loud and proud here. Thunder, lightning, the whole 9 yards, rattling the rain or panes in the windows, and the wind blowing through the house was awesome. And just it felt very cleansing, very calming. And I did a couple different rituals here, candle magic type things. And so we'll probably talk about candle magic next week, actually. I think that I think would be really, really, really fun to talk about candle magic, because there's a lot of energy there. All this stuff that we're learning is awesome. And the two candles I lit, one was definitely for Ender, and it was really interesting to me. I used a birthday candle for him because I wanted to wish him happiness. And birthday parties for little ones are often just full of insane energy and happiness and joy until the balloons pop or fly away. And anyways, the birthday candle did something I have never seen a birthday candle do ever in the history of ever, and it burned out completely without spilling wax anywhere. All of the wax was burned. It was just, I don't know, it was just very bizarre. I've never seen that happen. Every birthday candle I've ever seen has made just a hot puddle of wax and made a mess in the frosting. But no, it really, truly, it burned all the way up. And so, sending that energy to Ender, and I hope he just, gets past this rough patch and moves on into, being just a healed, healthy little boy. And just another thing, just to recap what we were talking about at the very, very top of the hour, in case you joined late, is we were talking about altar stones. Don't be afraid to grab your stone off your altar and set it with intention and energy. It can be very representative of your altar. So if you're traveling or in the car or at work, or you just need that extra touchstone, and people who do not approve of your path can be right there in front of you. I have a giant piece of quartz about the size of a toddler's fist that I'm using. I generally use as a worry stone or it's my touchstone, I guess. So if I'm feeling a little too much energy, I can definitely, I need to ground it out just a skosh. And it's good to have some sort of touchstone throughout the day, absolutely, to connect with your path. And let's see, what else? Being unobtrusive. Yep, your altar stone, if you've got something on your shelf, use it as decor. It does not have to be fancy. Often it's a touchstone or something we just focus on, the focal point. So it doesn't have to be the flying spaghetti monster or a fluffy bunny. It could be, a piece of coral or a special rock or something that has meaning to you. A coffee cup. Whatever it is, make sure you're just setting it with the intention and imbuing it with that power from your altar, or as representative of your altar. So, just checking one real quick, because holy cow. So, hold on. I was requested for a link, so I'll do that real quick. And holy cow, it's been an hour. Can you believe that? I've been talking an hour. And no wonder I'm thirsty. And we talked about Weather Magick. So if you have any questions about Weather Magick, or you want some additional information or anything like that, just let me know. Send me the email at wildepaisley@gmail.com, WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. And I am not personally taking any students. I'm not there yet. But I will happily talk to you and help you out wherever I can. I've been looking at doing some readings, runic readings, and maybe setting up one or two sessions throughout the week. So if anybody's interested in that, shoot me an email, let me know your thoughts, or hit me up on Facebook. And then, so thank you for joining me tonight here in the spaces between, and hanging out with me on my personal journey as I learn things. So thank you again. And so merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. We will see you next weekend, or next Friday at 9 p.m. And stay tuned for Natalie. She's got some tarot stuff going on. So thank you very much, you guys. You have a great night.